welcome to Smarter Advertising, where we drink a lot of coffee and we make friends by giving free advice. My name is Steve Nunnally. I've been helping people just like you for over 20 years. We are an advertising company, but today this is just free advice. And in particular, this one is how to improve sales from your website. I've done tutorials like this in the past. Hundreds of people who saw it changed their websites. Pretty much all of our clients do exactly what we're suggesting here, or something very close to it. But even outside of that, hundreds of people took this free advice. The vast majority increased their sales from 20 to 50%. This tutorial is to help you take people who are coming to your website and turn them into buyers, not by selling them, by answering the questions that they have. When I'm discussing the questions that people have, it's amazing that all the colleges, university books, and everything else teach people how to build websites, teach them how to make things function, how to make links work. They talk fancy words like tunneling and funneling and all kinds of unique ideas. But the idea they all seem to miss is to stop and ask, not what am I trying to sell, not how does everybody else do it, but if somebody's searching for my service, first, what words did they use? And second is, what is it they're actually searching for? For example, somebody goes out and searches the words dentists followed by their city name, or lawyers, insurance, mortgages, etc., right? They didn't just want to go to a website. And the 5 questions that people go to when it's a location-based business, this is a business that you go to. First one is the business taking calls now? For example, it's 6 o'clock at night. Are they open or not? I have seen people running Google ads and just destroy themselves by not answering that question. It's after 5 o'clock on the weekend and you're running paid advertising. You're paying for clicks, but people get there. They don't know if you're answering the phone or not. People are inherently shy. And we don't think that, but if it's not true, why do we text instead of FaceTime everybody? We're shy. People don't generally call you unless they already know the answer to their questions. What they're really doing is they're calling to confirm. If they don't know if you're taking calls, they don't want to be rude and call you after hours, so they just go find another website. If you paid for that click, you just lost your money and a sale. If you paid for SEO to get there, you wasted your SEO money that went towards that person and your sale. Some other form of advertising, wasted money. Now, the next question would be, what's their telephone number? You go to these websites and you see an icon that says call now, or whatever, and is clickable, or click here to call, or a phone icon. What if they want to write the phone number down? The next question is, are they open at a time that matches my availability? For example, whether it's a dentist or lawyer or something, you may only have time to go on Saturday. If your office happens to be open during those hours, but you don't put it right there at the top of the website, most likely the person on your website is going to leave and go to your competition's website. Your advertising is paying for other companies to make money. Next one is do they offer the type of service I'm looking for? On a desktop computer, 90% of people do not scroll down and they don't go to a second page. 50% go to a second page. If you have a page that says services, you've generally lost them for 50% before they even got there. What you want to do is have your services towards the top of the page. Another question, where you're located. I hear horror stories from people after they watch this. They all want to tell me their story. And an example is, there's an electrician's office down in Naples, Florida. And we helped them, made them #1 for SEO. And they were doing really good. But the point was they were getting these calls, but then people would call them and say, "Hey, what's your address?" And they'd filled in name, phone number, and all this other stuff. But when they got to the address, they're like, "Maybe you better give that to me again. I don't recognize it." So they get it again. Well, it turns out the electrician's office was in Naples, Florida, but the potential customer was in California. So, where you're located is a big question to them. Let's face it, there's no sense in hearing what a great dentist, lawyer, insurance agent, mortgage person, real estate agent, or whatever until you know if you're actually in the right area, if you're close enough to be convenient. But what if somebody's looking for a service area business? Maybe they want home repairs, home remodeling, junk removal, landscaping, painting, electrician, etc. What questions are they going to have? Remember, if they did a search for those on the internet, when they get to the website, they're looking for answers to that question, and you have 2 to 11 seconds to sell them, just like when you meet people. And if your website loads slow or you don't answer their questions quickly, they'll leave very, very quickly. So again, it comes down to, is the business taking calls now? A lot of home repair businesses and, junk landscaping painters and others, they may run things like Google Ads till 9 o'clock at night. But it's amazing to see on the weekend that people go to their website. They don't have their hours up at the top of the website. And by the way, even on desktops, they don't scroll down. On cell phones, they do. They'll scroll a little further down because it doesn't all fit on the screen. But when it comes to going to other pages, they actually go to less pages on a cell phone than they do on a desktop. I'll explain that one to you in a minute. They want to know if you're taking calls now. If you don't answer that at the top of your website, you've wasted your advertising money and you lost a sale. They want to know your phone number. If you've got an icon or a click to call or whatever, you lost those people too. Now, I highly recommend to businesses, a lot of service businesses may only work till 4, 5, 6 o'clock, and maybe Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday. But if you're running advertising, or if you're willing to take the calls later in the evening, put your phone hours, not your actual business hours. Otherwise, you're wasting your money running the ad. Take a second and look at your website. And look at this one here. This is like an average website out on the internet. And it's not great. It's not horrible. And yet, it's a financial disaster waiting to happen. We've helped hundreds of people transform from this, but hundreds more have just gone out and done it on their own, paying attention to what's on here than talking to their own website person. Again, my object here is to make friends, earn referrals. If you want to hire us, that's great. But I enjoy helping nice people. By the way, please, if you refer somebody or send them this business, only send nice ones. Our company policy is we refuse to do advertising for spammers, scammers, pornographers, rude people, and snobs. So if this helps you, great. Looking at this real quick, this phone icon up here is a mistake. Everything here, it looks normal, and yet you're going to see it's a mistake. So I recommend that you don't have phone icons or just a click to call. Even phone numbers should not be the same color as the text. Like if you had white text up here, people might not click that. Or black text, people don't tend to click them very often because they don't realize they're clickable. So you need to do it, putting them in some kind of an icon that looks like a button, putting the words click to call. It just amazingly helps. There's another big opportunity a lot of business owners miss, and that is not offering texting at the top of the website, or not putting the hours they text or whatever. And the reason that's really important is they were talking about phones that we'd be able to carry around with us and look at people's pictures. Everybody was really excited. They thought they would want to go out and, see everybody on the other end of the phone and everything. What happened, though, is the opposite of expectations. Instead of wanting to go to face communications, they went to text. I suggested putting texting on websites to a lot of people. And at first, there was a lot of resistance. But when we put some of them, their sales went up, quite a bit. And but one or two said, maybe they would just call anyway, so they had us take it off. They assumed people would just call. No, they didn't. So about these days, I want to say 20 to 30% of all contacts to service area businesses are text messages. It's a little lower than that for office-bound businesses. But anyway, so you want to go in and you want to make sure to put texting. And you can see right there, you've made it much easier for people to reach out and call. The next step is to make sure that they know they can call and text and what the hours are. If you're an 8 to 5 business, maybe this isn't as critical for you. But for anybody who answers the phone after 5 o'clock or on the weekends, this is crucial. You're not having those hours on there at the top, you're losing money. If you've got them down at the bottom of your website, remember, very few people are going to go all the way down there. Put it at the top to make more money. Let's talk about one of the worst ideas that was ever put onto a website. It's this little hamburger menu up here, these 3 little bars. Most people know it's called a hamburger menu, but if you didn't, that's what they call it. And the problem is, this is like going fishing. You put a bright, shiny hook at the end of your line, but you don't put any bait on it. I mean, is there anything that draws your eye to this? This is the main reason people go to less pages on a cell phone than they do on a desktop. Solution to the hamburger menu, a menu put out, something more like this, and you go through here and you're listing all your different services. And by the way, a service page is nice, but actually telling your people what those services are, much better idea. Google SEO, Google Ads, they all read these words, and for SEO, it helps bounce you up. For Google Ads, it lowers your cost. But just watching people go to far more pages with buttons like this than they do with the hamburger menu. A couple of things you don't want to do. One is, see this weird Premier on here? People don't tend to like that unless it's in a high-end service where you're wanting to pay much. A Premier builder, Premier modeler, something associated with luxury. You're going to charge you more to carry away the bags of trash. But something else has changed on the internet too. Google, Apple, Bing, all of them are now penalizing the paid ads, are penalizing the SEO, and even making businesses just disappear if they put anything on there that sounds like a guarantee or a false promise. For example, you're going out and saying, we're the best. Google's like, where's the proof? Show us the proof. Now, if you say award winning and you show awards and you link to them, that gets you bonus points. But just saying you're best does not mean you're the best. Or saying you're the premier does not mean you're the premier. Another thing that's getting people into trouble these days, and their Google My Businesses and other listings are disappearing and their Google ads are getting throttled over, is putting things like same-day service. But the big companies, big advertising, Google and the others, realize it's a very small operation and that people calling at the last minute may not actually get same-day service. So it's an implied promise that isn't possible to keep 100% of the time. Google did not look at this in the past. This only took place within the last year, but it's a big penalty, and it's one of the reasons so many small businesses are starting to disappear from the search. One other factor that will absolutely kill you is going and putting the words satisfaction guaranteed. Unless you put something to back it up. If you write satisfaction guaranteed, but you don't explain what's going to happen if they're not satisfied, Google, Apple, Bing, Yelp, ChatGPT, Gemini, all of them, they consider it a promise, but you didn't promise what was going to happen, in which case they're treating it as though it's a lie. And they are now getting rid of businesses that don't have it. When it comes to the search engines and the platforms, the number one words out there are trust, accuracy, and consistency. But hey, that's a different video on a different day. So we get rid of all that Premier stuff. Just in this case, a nice picture of this. I'm not going to go through all the services and everything. You go through here and you just list it all as close to the top as you can. Make it very easy. Another thing is to make sure you just don't say, hey, we're located in, or one that I always think is funny for these service area businesses, the people who build the websites, they were never taught to think of it from the consumer side. And so put a map to the business's location. If you were the owner of Rocky's Cleanouts, do you really want the people bringing the junk to you? Probably not. A landscaping company, why would you have a map? A painter? When was the last time you went to a painter's house or office? Go through your website and use some common sense and say, yeah, that made sense to me when I got it, or to the guy who built it. But does it have value to the person who just landed on my website after doing a search for my service products in the city? Take a minute now and consider this website, or the idea behind this website, and compare it to yours. And I don't know, maybe you've got one that has all those answers. Maybe you've got something better. But you are now a website expert, because chances are you're looking at this and you're going back to your website person and saying, hey, we're going to make some changes. After you contact your website guy, go out and look at your friends' websites, your coworkers, your families, and say, maybe they need to make some changes too. If you end up suggesting that people make the changes, just remember again, only send the nice ones over to us. We will not people unless they're just wonderful and that they have good reviews. And if they have no reviews, that's okay. But if any companies with bad reviews, we want to help them victimize anybody else. Hey, if you like this video, please like it. If you want to see more videos, we're going to be pumping them out really fast again. We stopped for 2 years, but now we're putting them back out. And you're going to learn why, as I mentioned earlier, trust, accuracy, and consistency are the most important words. I mean, the big advertising platforms, Google, Bing, Chat, and all the others, feel they can trust the information on your website, in your Google My Business and other listings. They'll kill you. If it doesn't match your government listings, kill you. If your hours are different on your website than your Google My Business, you're inconsistent, your Google My Business could disappear. Please reach out to us if you want to see more videos at Smarter Advertise on Facebook. And if we can help you in any way, here's our contact information. Feel free to call out. Again, my name is Steve, but please, no calls before coffee. Thank you. Bye-bye.